Hey guys, welcome back to Roots Refuge Farm. If you're new here and you haven't seen any of the videos that I've shot, because it's been a minute, I'm Maya. I'm Jessica's husband. Thanks for coming today. Jessica's actually been sick for a couple of days, and so she asked me if I'd pick up the camera and shoot a video, and I said I would. And what Jessica asked me to do was to give you guys an update and a tour of the barn progress, which is kind of where our focus has been after getting the high tunnels put up and getting stuff in the garden. Since getting most of the spring garden planted, obviously there's still a lot more garden stuff to do. We've got more garden spaces to develop, but we got as much as we were going to get done for the spring, and so we shifted from the garden spaces being the primary focus to getting the barn finished out. And that's what we've been doing for a few weeks now, and I'm excited about that. I have been looking forward to the barn reaching its full potential of functionality and efficiency for our farm, making it easier to do the things that we do, and we're getting very close to that. So let's go around and I'll give you guys kind of the update of all the different spaces, the progress, what we have left to do. Also bear with us, it is a active work site, so there's material and tools kind of all over the place, but that's part of it whenever you're in the middle of doing something. Okay, right behind me is the milk room. The goal of the milk room and the purpose of doing this space is to give us an area within the barn to be able to process, chill, and store the milk that we're getting from our Jersey cows. It'll eliminate having to carry the milk and process it in our house. It's going to eliminate needing to store stuff like the milking pails, the milking machine, and all the jars in our kitchen. We have very limited space for that kind of stuff in there already, so it's just we're doing the best we can. But once we get this fully operational, everything that has to do with milking the cows will be contained in this room. Okay, so this is the entrance on the barn side. So if you out that door right there where those two benches are, that's the actual milk stanchion. And so these are the walls, and so then obviously the door out to the barn. Okay, so to make this room functional for keeping all of our milk supplies and milk processing out here, we needed hot water, we needed a place to freeze and to keep cold the milk. So we've got a fridge going in, we've got a tankless water heater to provide hot water, and then we've got to have shelving to store all the stuff like the jars, lids, and everything else that's, you know, the stainless steel pails, all that stuff. And we've got to have a workspace to be able to bring the milking machine in, or the pail for hand milking, and to be able to strain it and then pour it, and having just a workspace to do that. So to accomplish those things, we're bringing in a fridge freezer, not a massive one, just one that'll function. We actually are going to be putting in a tankless water heater, a real small one. I think it's rated to run 2 faucets, but we're really just going to have one running on it. And that's just to be able to keep things clean and sterile. We are putting in a dishwasher to be able to quickly sterilize, just run like a sterilized cycle on the jars once we get jars back. Once we are done using jars, we will hand wash them, and then we always like to run them through like a high temperature sterilization before putting new milk into them. And so for us to really make this fully functional, we needed something like a dishwasher out here so we didn't have to bring the jars back and forth to the house. So we are putting a dishwasher out here, and then we have a stainless steel counter kind of going in here, and I got that off of uline.com. I found one that was about 96 inches long, and it had a built-in sink with it. I'm sure it's more commonly used in restaurants, but it's going to work perfectly for us. So we'll have a sink to be able to wash, a workspace, you know, fridge, freezer, dishwasher, and then just shelving and storage. Once it's all up and running, it's going to streamline our milking process, make it way faster, make it way easier on us. And it also make it easier for like friends and family who are getting milk to be able to, you know, come get it, even though, let's say we're not at home. We'll be able to just keep it out here in the barn. We'll be able to show them, hey, you know, all the extra milk stored out here. It's going to free up a ton of space in our house, which is vital right now. We've kind of just been busting at the seams. That house is fantastic, but it doesn't have a lot of storage. We have just been doing the best that we could do. So getting this done is going to be very exciting, especially because I've been doing a lot of the milking, and so making that job take less time and being able to let me focus on other things is perfect for me. Okay, so the things we have left to do to make this complete is we've got to put the counter in right here. Obviously there's the sink and water hookups. That's where the sink will be. We've got to put, the dishwasher is going to go right in here. We've got to build like a counter to kind of go around and on top of it. And then we've got to wire and plumb the tankless water heater, which is in that box. Then we've got to do all the receptacles, lighting. I've got to build a Dutch door that's going into the milk stanchion area. I decided to do a Dutch door so we can open up half and keep the bottom half closed. If one of us is in here processing milk, we can just pass it over, and that way also, in case sometimes the cows act a little crazy and they don't want to just walk straight into the stanchion, they try and skirt around it to get to their feed. I just wanted to be able to have the milk room shut off to whatever we're doing out there, but still be able to pass things through and access it. So I'm going to build a Dutch door. Never done that before, so that'll be a first, and I'm sure it'll turn out great. Once I finish that, we've got one more door to put in, trim it out, and then we've got to do the shelving, get the fridge in, obviously install the dishwasher. Behind me is where the stanchion is. Now, I'm actually doing a new version because we concreted the floor in the milking area, and so I decided to kind of redesign the first stanchion that I built. Now, I think the first stanchion's great. It's mobile, you can move it. Obviously, we were able to move it out of this space and to be able to put this more permanent one in once we had the concrete. But there are also some things that I learned that I didn't need or didn't like, and I've got a video, I've got an original video that's going to go up on my channel once we get that live, that kind of goes over building the first one. And then on the tail end of that video talking about building the first one, I'm going to go over the pros and cons of the two. They're pretty much identical except for the floor, and because of our particular cows and how they choose to eat their food, I'm going to modify some things on this second one that will essentially cause us to waste less feed. Mostly I'm looking at Hope because the way that she eats is very messy. And so I'm making some changes on this stanchion to accommodate for how messy she is. So I'll be looking for that video on my channel once I actually get that out there to you guys. So at the same time that we were framing and decking the milk room, we framed and decked the feed room, well, feed and tack room. Behind me it's the exact same size as the milk room. It's essentially a 12 by 12 stall that we poured a pad and framed a room in. We're gonna basically store all of our farm's feed in here, and I will keep all of our medicine that doesn't have to be refrigerated, tack, so leads, halters for horses and cows. Everything that pertains to taking care of our farm and the animals on it will be stored in here also. Should have plenty of space for all that stuff. We didn't go as fancy. The finish in this room is kind of hard to see right now. I haven't had a chance to put any of the lights in, but in here we mostly just went with like an efficient and functional finish. It's just plywood up, and then we stained it and sealed it to kind of just give it longevity, make it easy to clean. I like the way that it turned out as far as a tack room and feed room. When you go in there and you look around, it kind of feels like you're at a saloon because it's so brown. But yeah, it's just, that's it. Having this done and having our feed up here at the barn is going to make things very nice, way easier. Right now we're having to keep our feed on the other side of the farm in a shipping container, so we have to take a vehicle, either the four-wheeler or the side-by-side, over there, dish it up, bring it back and distribute it. Once we get this done, the feed will be out here right where all the animals are that need to eat. It's going to make things very good. Another thing that we did when we were building this out that you don't have to do, but I would highly recommend, is the rafters of the ceiling at both of the rooms. We went ahead and did a 2x8. And the reason we did that is so that we could put some considerable storage up there. As you see, I've got stuff already stored up on this one, and we've got storage on top of that one. You could use a different board if you weren't going to be using it for storage. Again, I think that's kind of a waste. It'd just be dead space above there, unusable. Did it have to be a 2x8? Probably not, but I kind of have a tendency to overbuild rather than underbuild. That way I don't get into trouble if I put something heavy up there. I've got more board to hold the weight and distribute it. Another detail is we ran receptacles with armored cable to every stall. With the first one being a GFI protected receptacle. In case there's ever a short, it'll pop that first receptacle rather than damaging anything. The reason we decided to do that is because of just our experience. Whenever you're out using your barn for birthing and you need to add some heat, being able to plug in a heater, extra light when you're brooding chickens or any other kind of fowl, which we did brood in this stall actually that I'm standing in, being able to plug in the brooding plates. And so we just went ahead and ran some kind of electrical access to every stall just so we're prepared for anything that's in the future. I would also highly advise that. You'll never go wrong with having extra receptacles. I think we decided to go with 8 circuits on each breaker, which are 20 amp breakers. So there's either 8 receptacles or 8 lights. And then we basically just kind of divided out and divided up all the different lights or receptacles to make sure we didn't exceed that. I think you could probably go a little higher, but again, I always try to be safer or overbuilt, so I gave ourselves a little bit extra capacity on each receptacle rather than pushing it to 10. Again, check with your codes, counties, whatever your rules are whenever you're doing that kind of stuff. I know that 8 is well within what's required here in South Carolina. Another little barn hack that I like and I kind of figured out was these little lights. They're LED and they're kind of like strips. But we ended up doing one of these for 2 stalls, and so because you can angle them and twist them, essentially it emits most of the light down to each separate stall. That's kind of what it looks like, and it just screws into just a regular ceramic plate, and so it's kind of like a light bulb. So if you do have a problem with it, you could take it down, put a different kind of light in, or just get another one, replace it, which I thought was awesome because that's also pretty high up there. I like the idea of doing that because it eliminated having to do an individual light at each stall and then also adding an individual switch for that light. So it eliminated essentially 4 separate light runs and switch runs out of our total to be able to run it like that, and then also be able to provide light, good light, for each stall depending on the situation. The only downside is that when you turn it on, you have to turn on both sides. So both stalls are going to get lit up at the same time, but it's really not that big of a deal for the amount of material reduction that we achieved by doing this, especially with the cost of everything right now. I felt like that was definitely a win. One of the last things I kind of wanted to go over with you guys and show you is these barn door tracks that we've got up now on all of the exterior stalls. So, you know, half of our stalls have an additional 12 by 12 outside space attached to them. And we decided to run, rather than doing a gate system, we felt like, especially after using this for Hallelujah's birth, that the gates would not actually keep any heat in or retain any heat. So if we wanted to heat the barn up, we would need to find another solution than just putting a wire-filled gate. And so I came up with just actually using sliding barn doors, which I know are very popular in houses, but actually using it on a barn. And so we've got the track up. We've got a stack of wood inside that's all pre-painted. I'm pretty sure it's a 2x tongue and groove board, and we're going to build out these sliding barn doors. We're actually going to build, rather than doing one giant sliding door, we're actually going to do 2 halves, and they'll slide apart like this. I've still got some problem solving to do on how to latch them and keep them from sliding back and forth, especially if there's going to be animals in there, but I'll figure it out and I'll show you guys whenever I get it done. But we're not too far away from getting these doors built, hung, and being able to close the barn off if we need to. Obviously we don't need to do that right now because it's so hot, but I have a feeling that we'll be glad we went this direction and chose to do solid doors whenever it's cold and we have to be out here for milking or different things like that. That kind of sums up the progress that we've made on the barn. Very much looking forward to having it at a place where we can start using it, using the feed room, using the milk room. I would say, you know, I'm looking forward to having it all the way finished and being able to say, okay, we're done with that. But as I've learned in this life, as soon as I feel like I'm done, I'll probably find some other things that I could change or improve on. And so things are kind of always in a state of improvement and development. So I don't know that we'll ever say the barn's done. But as far as like the functionality of the barn and helping with the efficiency of our farm, that part is very much coming to fruition. I'm excited to show you guys once we put those finishing touches on there. Also, I know we've mentioned it before, and I mentioned it in this video. I have been working on my own channel, talking about my perspective of things, the things that I'm doing, my recommendations, and different things like that. I'm very excited to get that out. I haven't rushed the process. I want to make sure that it's in the right timing and that it's a product I could be proud of. And honestly, if you guys have been watching the channel, we've had a ton of stuff going on where we are juggling a lot of things, and I'm excited about all those things. What that also means is that sometimes I can't give my attention to the thing that I might want to. You know, what is it, the squeaky wheel gets the grease kind of thing. I do promise I'm working on it. It's going to be out soon, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Just stay tuned for that. Obviously, we'll announce it here the day that it goes live. But thank you guys for hanging out with me today and going around the barn and just kind of looking at the different areas that we've made progress and the different ideas we've had and implemented in this space. Just say a prayer for Jessica. I know she's already starting to feel better now. I just, you know, I always, as a husband, feel bad whenever she's puny and not feeling good. You wish she could do something, but really they just have to rest and, you know, get better, let their body do what it's supposed to do. Anyways, guys, that's it. I bless you. Until next time.